Hi, my name is John and I'm a very lucky, very blessed Qhht level 3 certified practitioner, and I just want to talk about this particular session because it was so cool. It was so fascinating. It was a lady who went back to Atlantis. Now, she sort of started off, she went under hypnosis, she went way up there, like way up into the realms. And then she sort of came back down and she filtered down into a life in Atlantis, but she wasn't a human, she was actually a crystal. And she was absolutely ginormous. She was I think she was a rose quartz crystal, and she chose that energy because it was she said it was more of the heart chakra energy. And so she had her experience in Atlantis as this massive crystal. It was like as big as a mountain. And so she was vibrating her energy, but from her perspective, she knew everything that was going on in Atlantis. And where she came from, we found out the experience before that, where she came from. She came down with her family, and her family was having crystal experiences as well. So I asked her, what actually happened in Atlantis? Just tell me the story there. And she was very much explaining how the humans at the time, it was their ego, and what they were doing was they manipulated the energy so well that they actually used the crystal power, not her crystal, because they found a different kind of crystal. It was a bit more powerful than the rose crystal, and what they did was they manipulated their energy to power, and they invented time machines. And it was just absolutely fascinating. And she was just telling me exactly what they were made of and describing them and how they were using them. There was only an elite few that were using them, and she said what was happening was they could actually use them to go forward in the future, not too far, but they could go back. But they could also use them to go into other dimensions and other portals physically. So it was really, really fascinating. And she said that they were using this special kind of energy. And it was funny because the session before, the lady actually went back to Atlantis, and she was talking all about this special energy that was manipulated, and which was fascinating because it's very much like Dolores Cannon. Sort of one session leads on to another session, and then I just dig and I get more and more and more information. And it was just such a really fascinating session. And then she told me what they were actually doing, because they were after information, and so they were getting the information and they were changing the DNA in people, and they were experimenting a little bit like what they're doing now. They're very much changing and manipulating food, but back then they were doing it with animals and all sorts of things. So it was really, really fascinating. And then I asked her, what about Earth's perspective? Because what happened there? And she said that the only way that they could control everything was that they had a galactic meeting, and Earth very much agreed to it, and she just shook. She just went, and they flooded everything. And what happened was she actually, her subconscious said, the time machines are actually still there, and she described them so beautifully. And she said there was 3 main ones, and she said exactly where they are, and they're underneath the water. And what happens, she said, but they'll never be activated again. And then it was really interesting because she said now, because of the veil is thinning so much, and her subconscious said, anyone can time travel now. She said, what do you think we're doing now? I'm showing her the past. We don't need to physically go in to any machine. We can use our mind. Our mind is so powerful that we can go into the past. We can go into another dimension. We can go into the future. We can do just as just what they did in Atlantis, but now we can just use our mind to get that same information. It was really fascinating. It really does confirm everything that Dolores found out in her 45-year career. And then, so we found out the crystals perspective, and then we found out Earth's perspective, and the most amazing thing happened. She actually got into the consciousness of Earth itself, of Mother Earth. And once she morphed into the consciousness of Mother Earth, it was almost like she could see the frequency. She said it's a little bit like white noise, but it's conscious. She said, I can speak to it, I can communicate with it, I can feel her. So we had the most amazing conversation with Earth, and she is just so strong. She's just so strong. But another amazing thing was when we were really connecting and she was going deeper and deeper and deeper into the Earth's consciousness, she could start feeling her. And she just started like shaking, and she was like, oh my God. She's like, I can feel her. I can feel her in every single part of my DNA and my cellular structure. And she could hardly even speak. And she was just fizzing, absolutely fizzing. She's like, I've never felt anything like this before. And then what Earth did was she actually graciously showed her the future and what the future is going to be. And she's very much pushing up crystalline mountains up through the ocean in certain spaces. And when you go through, science has proven that the mountains are actually bigger underneath the ocean than on top of the ocean. And she's starting to push them up. And the energy that these mountains are having is completely different. So that's raising the vibration of the Earth itself, and it's going to push out the lower vibration and keep the higher vibration there. So she actually experienced one of her future lives when she comes back, and it was just so beautiful. She was very much a light body. She wasn't in a human body. She said she kind of still looked like a human, still had the same basic features, but it was just different. She was just so high vibrational. So it was just such a beautiful session, and it's something she would never ever forget. And she's got the recording. That's the beauty of QHHT, is we record the session so she can listen back to it, and every time she listens back to it, she'll get more and more and more information. It's a full total understanding of her life, her soul's life. She knew all of the past, she knew the present, she knew exactly what was going on in her life now. Did some amazing healing, absolutely amazing healing. Like, who knows what that Earth vibration did for her cellular structure. It just changed everything. She had a massive upgrade, and now she knows that what's going to hold her in her future. So there's nothing to be fearful of what we're going through at the moment. So if you're interested in having a QHHT session, because honestly they can be such a turning point in your life, or just a once in a lifetime experience, just one of those things that, I'm just going to try it and see what happens. Feel free to jump on my website. It's up there, or I'll post the link down below. So feel free to get in contact with me, or if you have any questions or any queries, please feel free to comment down below, push the like, and if you haven't subscribed, I'd really appreciate it if you like it and subscribe it. Just keeps me really motivated to keep more of these session stories keeping on going. So thank you so much for listening, and enjoy life. Life loves you. So, and smile. Bring some joy to yourself.